Coming up on today's show, I forgot what I was going to say.
Stuff's happening.
Stuff. Coming up on today's show, Respawn Entertainment is working on a new IP, Outriders has been delayed, and I got a look at Hitman 3. What's good, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the What's Good Games podcast, your source for video game news, commentary, analysis, and funny stuff every Friday. I am one of your hosts, Andrea Renee, joined by Miss Christine Steimer. Hello. And Miss Brittany Brombacher. Hello. Welcome back, ladies. Happy 2021.
Thank God.
It feels the same.
It
Sure
does. I mean, it really does.
It's been a whole 6 days since 2021 has kicked off, and already chaos is happening. It's really wild because while we are obviously going to be talking about some video game news today, this week in the United States, some really terrible, awful things have been going down in our capital, Washington, D.C., during the process of certifying the Electoral College vote in advance of the presidential inauguration. So we want to let you guys know that we're obviously aware of all of this that's been going on. It's weighing on our minds as it's weighing on yours. As of recording the show, by the time the show posts, we don't know where things are going to be 48 hours from now.
True that.
But we are here to focus on video games, and obviously we don't really have much to say other than the rioters at the Capitol were really bad, doing bad stuff, behaving really poorly, and all in all, can't wait to see the president leave office. That's
That
all
will
I'm
be
gonna
a
say about
glorious
that.
day.
Anywho, we hope that residents of DC are staying safe and that people who are being forced to work in the Capitol are also staying safe, and we hope you are staying safe. COVID-19 is rampant here
Still
all
out there.
across
Still
the United States.
Still hanging out.
I don't know. It's worse than ever. Like, it's wild to think that we
Especially
got
here
to the
in
end of the year.
California. It's real bad here.
They literally said leaving your home can be considered a high-risk activity.
Oops.
Oh my God.
Steimer,
I'll just live here now.
you're taking the risk.
Yeah.
Well, I think the good thing for people at home to remember is that Steimer has been my quarantine buddy since the very, very beginning. And you don't interact with anybody else on your way up here. You get to your parking garage, you get in your car, you drive up here, you
Correct.
see us.
Yeah.
And then you just do it in reverse to get home. It's not like you're taking the bus or an Uber or anything like that.
Yeah. No.
So, of course, we are always mindful about taking precautions and want to make sure everybody on our team is safe. And because of this, we haven't seen Brittany since February of 2020. Brittany, it's almost been a whole calendar year.
Oh my God, it is going to be a year.
I'm sad about this, Brittany.
I feel like you and I, like, since we met, and actually the first time we met, I don't think we've ever gone that long without seeing each other.
No, I want to smell you. It's been so long since I've smelled you. You smell so good, Steimer, all the time.
What if I okay, this is going to be your belated Christmas present. I'll spray a pillow with like my perfume and I'll just roll around on it a little bit and then I'll mail it to you.
Oh,
Okay.
that's cute and weird at the
Aw.
same time.
That'll be my new therapy pillow. My therapy pillow.
Yeah, you'll
It like
stick it.
arrives in the mail.
It'll be
and Brittany just
Hugga-Steimer.
like stands there huffing it.
She's like, I really like this idea. I might actually do
I
it.
kind of do too. Oh my God. And I'm not selling it, so don't even ask. You
No.
creeps.
Better not.
No,
I'd be
No.
heartbroken if you sold
It's
it.
for my nostrils only.
I love it. Well, Brittany, how was your break? How was, staying at home with the fam? I loved all the photos you posted of Reb.
It was good. It was really nice to take a break and just chill and sleep in and stay in my pajamas and fester and not have any major obligation to go see or do anything. I think it's something that we've all been kind of needing since 2020 started. But I will say, like we were talking about, I was a little nervous about recording tonight because, like I said, before we start recording, I was worried I'd have the personality of a wet, flaccid noodle. But I will say, talking to you two and seeing you two has really boosted my spirits. So I am
Aw.
happy that we're doing this tonight. It's good.
Aren't you?
Love you.
Yes. I'm glad that we're doing it too. And I know that We need to allow people the space to say, hey, I have more important things to do. But we also want to allow people the space to say, hey, I can't do this right now. My anxiety is too high. My stress is too high. I need the escapism of the things that I love, whether that be your favorite book, your favorite movie, your favorite video game. And we've always said here at What's Good Games that, we want to be an escape for people that are dealing with really tough stuff in their life. And that's definitely not changing. Not changing right now, not changing anytime. But when things get serious that we need to address, we will. But I think everything that's happening in the Capitol today is not worth addressing because it's all buffoonery, quite honestly.
Amen. I like
Yes.
It is.
Buffoons.
The people that were rioting at the Capitol were all behaving very badly. And our government elected officials should be ashamed of themselves.
Honestly, everybody involved in that should be ashamed of themselves.
Yes.
What is wrong with you?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. But we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about some games. Before we get into that, of course, we have a lot of thank yous for people that have been joining the Patreon and reviewing the podcast in the couple of weeks that we have been on vacation. So thank you so much to our Patreon producers, Chewy's Godson, Califournicated, Justin Foshee, Punkdefied, Faris Attieh, Mohammed Mohammed, Marcus Brown, and Alex Rigopulous for supporting everything that we do in 2020, now into 2021. And welcome to our Patreon community, Nick Believe It, Skylar Forsland, Marcy, Brian Romano, Kate Ryder, Esteban Rivera, Bex Rainsberger, Alex Ma, Nick24, Doc Trancy, Rosen Toshkov, Tom, Naomi Bryan, Daquan Bynum, Jera, Angelique Escano, and a special shout out to everyone who upped their pledge in the wake of our new tier modifications. We know that some of you had some concerns and some questions, and we're going to be talking about that new merch tier in just a second. And we want to thank everybody who upped their pledge, knowing that we are going to be sunsetting that lowest tier. And we're hopefully going to be introducing some new cool stuff. Brittany, you re-mentioned on our social media accounts what the new things are. But for people who may have missed it, who are like, wait, what? Did something happen with the Patreon?
Shit. Yeah, exciting stuff. So our $10 legendary tier for the longest time was this after hours stream where we would play games. And it was a really fun time. But based off of the feedback that we got from our community, we wanted to do something that maybe skewed a little bit more to their interest, which we found out was something short form, something audio. So we are replacing the after hours stream with a new exclusive podcast to Patreon. And it's probably not going to be a lot about video games. I think we actually are going to make a conscious effort to talk about other things in our life that we're excited about that's outside the medium of gaming. So it could be a TV show, it could be a book, it could be a movie. And this is going to be something that we're going to be live streaming after our monthly happy hour Q&A live stream. So if you can watch it live, you're more than welcome to. But if you can't, don't worry. We will be publishing an audio only file to our Patreon RSS feed, and it will be fun. That means I got to do something besides play games.
Yeah, I was about to say, you got to expand your interests, Brittany.
I know. I have been watching a really interesting show actually called Alice in Borderland, and that's going to be like what I'm going to talk about.
Nice.
Interesting. We also changed our mythic?
Divine.
Is it the
Divine.
mythic tier? Divine tier.
Divine.
The divine tier, which is now, we used to do an autograph custom Polaroid every month, and now we are doing merch. So as Brittany mentioned with the survey results, one of the most requested things that we got from those results and that we've heard from you guys consistently over the years is we want fun custom merch in the Patreon. And it's been something that's been really challenging for us and will continue to be challenging, quite frankly, because doing merch, particularly in COVID times, is tough. So we are excited, though, to offer an exclusive piece of merchandise in the Divine membership tier every month that will ship in the following month that you pledge. We do have to restrict it to the continental United States at the moment, and that is mostly due to COVID regulations and custom restrictions because of the pandemic. We also need to figure out a way to address the shipping costs when shipping internationally, and that's something that we're just not able to handle at the moment. So we apologize to everybody who wants to be part of the merch tier but can't because of shipping restrictions. Hopefully we can figure out a solution in the future, and we appreciate your support in our other membership tiers. For people who are in this tier, We are excited to announce that the first month of merch is going to be the Defenders of Video Game City custom coffee mug.
That's us.
That's
That is us.
So this is a fun design that we rolled out last year. You guys may remember during our anniversary month, we had custom pins that we sold that were supposed to be sold at PAX East. And unfortunately, we did not get them because of shipping delays, and we sold them to you guys and shipped them to you. And we've been wanting to use this awesome design from Matt. Shout out to Matt A. Plays. In something else. And so we are thinking about adding it to the merch store at some point, but we thought, a coffee mug would be fun. It's winter here in North America. Who doesn't like a good hot cocoa, a tea, a hot toddy, a coffee, whatever you want to put in there, whiskey, your choice.
It's up to you.
Yeah, exactly. So we're excited to be rolling that out, and those will be shipping sometime in early February. Manufacturer willing, fingers crossed. But we are hoping to add apparel, and we have some other really fun ideas for merch, and we hope that you guys will join us. If you want more details on those new modifications, of course, patreon.com/whatsgoodgames. And while we were away, Brittany, we got some pretty awesome 5-star podcast reviews.
We do. Thank you to 47383794, Chameleon, Electress 1544, Rocktans, and this awesome quote from Rick F944, which I think should be our new tagline. Is there a better podcast out there? Probably, but this is the one you should listen to anyway.
I like it. That is a good tagline because there's definitely better podcasts, but you should still listen to us.
Yeah.
Because I don't know.
Because,
We're
just
fun
because.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just join us. Just join us here at What's Good Game, just because. Thank you to everybody who takes the time to leave us a review. We know that financially supporting the show is not possible, but one way you can absolutely support us is with a little bit of your time by leaving us a 5-star podcast review. We say that it helps every week, and we really want to drive it home that it helps us so much when you guys leave those reviews. So keep them coming if you haven't left one yet, and you want to take a couple minutes to do so. We'd be very, very grateful. And now, without further ado, let's get into the headlines for this week. Brittany, you want to kick things off with our first story?
Absolutely. All right. That was way too enthusiastic for how I actually feel. Apex Legends devs are working on a new game that will let players, quote, adventure forever.
Forever?
Dextertro. Did I say that right? Forever.
Dextero?
Okay. No, it's like DEXTRTO. Dexterto. I did too, and then I was like, nah, that's not right. Okay, so it starts out with an update, which was effective January 6th at 5 a.m. Eastern, which says, the job listing mentioned below now goes to a blank page with the description stripped out, and the job itself is no longer listed on the vacancies page. So now to the original story. According to a new job listing posted on Respawn's website, the studio is putting together an incubation team to develop, quote, a brand new IP. The listing has relatively few details on the project itself, besides confirming that the title will, quote, use new practical technologies to enable adventuring forever. This may suggest a live, long-term game with ongoing Respawn entertainment support. Outside of the relatively vague job listing, there have been no official word from the North American studio regarding a new game or series in development. It's also likely whatever this new title is, it won't be related to Star Wars or the Fallen Order series. So first thing, we got a question from Nova. Actually, no, let's talk about that later. Okay, ladies, how do you feel about adventuring forever? I just gotta know.
To me, my brain goes to MMO.
Yeah. I thought about Elder Scrolls and how I felt like that game never ended. And technically, with the way that some of the side quests were RNG, it didn't actually. But MMO is a much better genre. It's like
that when I think when I think of a game that's designed for quote unquote adventuring forever, that's what my brain goes to. It's like, oh, okay, it's just a weird fancy term for MMO or some sort of shared online space in that way, if you don't want to necessarily call it that. Whatever. I'm sure there'll be some new gaming acronyms that'll come out eventually. It's not an MMO, it's a some other bullshit.
Some other bullshit. I like that. Yeah, if you look at how they've talked about, EA's talked about their IPs lately, you look at, let's say, like Apex Legends, and I have it here, game director said, possibly hinting the IP at expanding hinting at expanding the IP. Words are hard. I'm rusty. Anyway, back in October, about what else are we going to do with Apex Legends? And so you're like, okay, well maybe this would be the MMO, but then the listing says it's a brand new IP.
To be clear, I don't think this is an MMO. That's just when you say something like Adventuring Forever, that's just where my brain would automatically go to. I don't think Respawn Studios is big enough to take on the task of an MMO right now. And considering there was only one job listing that said this, I would be inclined to say it's probably not. But
it could also be something more along the lines of what Destiny 2 is right now, which has MMO elements to it, but isn't a full-blown MMO, where it does periodic updates to give players a reason to grind for new gear and to participate in seasonal events and things like that. But it's not something that the vast majority of players are logging into every day, right? Like, there's obviously a hardcore contingency of players who are active on Destiny constantly, but it's not the broad scale of their player base. And so I think that Respawn, as an FPS focused studio, could do something like what Bungie is doing with Destiny, but because of their restrictions being underneath EA, I don't know what that would mean for them long-term supporting the game. Would they run into some of the same problems that Bungie ran into when they were with Activision? Probably. You know, does Respawn as a studio want to continue working on other things? Of course. Like, I mean, I fully expect there to be a Jedi Fallen Order 2. We expect there to be more from Titanfall at some point. We know that they're obviously getting into VR with the Medal of Honor project. And I think that they just have a lot going on. So trying to do a live service game in addition to supporting Apex Legends feels like a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it does say it's an incubation team, so I don't think it would be anything that is greenlit for a while.
So you think it's just an R&D phase
I think
right
it's
now?
at 100%. This is definitely like, we are just fucking around with some concepts. We'll see how it goes. If it gets greenlit, I would imagine then they would put out a mass like hiring to try and get talent to actually build whatever it is. But yeah, right here, this is the seed of a project. It's like not even planted in the ground yet. Like they're trying to figure out what it is yet.
What kind of seed it is before they plant it in water and give it all the love
it's gonna be
it
like
needs.
one of the mystery seeds you get in video games. You're like, what is it? I don't know.
Like in Spiritfarer. Yeah,
that's exactly what I was thinking of. But
I got you. So patron Nova asks, with the Respawn news, do you think they've pretty much given up on Titanfall proper, at least until they squeeze everything they can out of Apex? I mean, I
feel like they kind of have to, in the sense that like Titanfall never really performs as well as they would want it to.
I mean, Titanfall
critically it always does well, but sales wise, I feel like it never quite crests like the peak you would think it could hit.
Yeah, I think that the Titanfall 2 really suffered from just a poor release window.
Yeah,
when they released that, because I think they released that game within like a week of Call of Duty, and there was something else that EA was working on at the time. And I remember when that game came out, I was like, this is just the wrong time to release this game. So I feel like a Titanfall 3 could really be a banger if they released it in like February. Instead of in the fall holiday window.
Right in smack dab middle of everything else.
Well, I think that, EA is probably looking at the success of Apex and the success of its competitors, games like Warzone, right, in the Call of Duty universe, and saying, well, we have a shooter, we have Titanfall. How can we incorporate the learnings that clearly Respawn has from making Apex with the roots of Titanfall and make something really special? And I don't know why they would not pursue that.
I mean, I think... go ahead, Britt.
Oh, thanks. I was just saying the last thing we heard about Titanfall was back in July of last year when I think it was the CFO said, like, maybe you'll see something from it down the line, but we're not sure. It was all about giving the team the resources they need to be productive and blah, blah, that kind of like non-answer. And then Vince Zampella did say he would like to explore it down the road and maybe do something more with it. But I mean, when you look at like Jedi Fallen Order, which I think definitely it surpassed expectations. It sold 10 million units as of like sometime last year. You look at what was the other game I was going to talk about? I can't remember. I'm brain farting. Anyway, like I don't know why. Like I think I can see why they would want to focus on Titanfall, but at the same time, Apex. Oh, Apex. Yeah, they have 70 million registered players. So like, why wouldn't you want to try to milk that cow? You know what I'm saying? Squeeze those udders.
True. I mean, and I think it's not to be overlooked that Vince has left the Respawn team to lead DICE LA, right? So he's completely on a different team now. And so it's like, well, who is leading this new project? But I think that Respawn makes great games, and I would be down for them to noodle on something different and try. Noodle. Because I think that they did great with the new IP that was Titanfall. And I thought even though Jedi Fallen Order was clearly set in the universe of Star Wars, I mean, they did something really original with that game, and I loved that game. Yeah.
I liked that game.
Yeah, it was a great game. If you never played it, you should check it out. All right, next story. Outriders has been delayed until April, with a demo coming next month via VG247. People Can Fly and Square Enix's upcoming shooter Outriders has once again been pushed back. In a post on Twitter, the team said that the game would be missing its previously announced February 2021 release date and would instead be launching on April 1st.
Really? April 1st?
Yeah.
That's what we're going with?
That, of all the dates to choose.
Not April 2nd?
Why would you choose April Fool's Day when you don't have to?
I don't know.
I wonder if that's like technically the cutoff for their fiscal, because usually March is the cutoff. But if it's
March is end of March is usually it. So I don't know why. If you're gonna go on the 1st, you may as well go on the 2nd.
Yeah, and it's a Thursday. Just make it the 2nd. It'll be Friday. It'll be fine. Mm-hmm. Anywho, let me get back to this story.
April 1st. Sorry.
There is a free demo that will be rolling out on February 25th, which will give players the chance to check out the first few hours of the game. People will be able to try all 4 character classes across Outriders single player and co-op modes, with users able to migrate all of this progress into the final game, which is nice.
Oh, that's nice.
Quote, "We believe it's important that players get to experience a new IP like Outriders before release so that you can decide for yourselves whether the game is something you wish to pre-order, purchase, or play," the team wrote. And it looks like we have a question about this from a Patreon member, Patrick Landry, who writes, "With Outriders being delayed, do you think it will give it a chance to actually succeed, considering that this type of game has been plagued with disaster recently?" It's interesting because this is now the second or third delay that this game has had, because it originally was supposed to launch holiday 2020. And then they pushed it, and now they've pushed it again. And the last time Steimer and I played the game, the build that we had was a little broken, but was still a lot of fun. Still had a jolly old time playing the game. And I think that this is absolutely the game that people are going to want to try before they buy to see it's their cup of tea. And I want to remind people that Outriders is not a live service game. People Can Fly have gone above and beyond to make that explicitly clear that everything that is in the game is on the disc or in the code.
In the computer.
That you download. So I'm still excited for this game. I think that, I need to see more from the narrative, but playing co-op was super fun.
I hope that the push is far enough for them to actually get so that they don't have to push again. Like, I do think that people make the mistake of like, oh, we only need another couple months. I'm like, just pad in an extra couple. Like, what's the worst that happens? You polish it more? Like, come on. Like,
I think it was the release date was February 2nd, right? I think so. It was like, it's only a month delay.
Yeah.
And, I'm not saying.
Well, it's 2 months.
It's a couple months, but it's still like. No, you're right. Yeah, it is only like a month because it's March. Basically, you get February and March.
No, it's 2 months.
February is like a baby month, so it's hard to count it as a real thing.
It doesn't count as a month. Sorry, everyone born in February. You were never born.
That's my mom.
You were never born.
Oh, wow. Does that mean I was never born? What is this time loop?
What is happening?
But yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting that they're I kind of wonder also this little message here about like, oh, you can decide for yourself whether or not you want to pre-order if it's something to do with the recent Cyberpunk, kerfuffle of like, we don't know what we're getting. Do we want this game? We've all pre-ordered it, not knowing what it actually looks like on our consoles, and them being like, here, we're the good guys, and you can just People Can Fly. Also Polish? ?
They are. Yes.
Please, Sony, don't remove our game from your store.
Please, no. I do think things are going to get so much harder for devs because of all of that shit, though. Like you have no idea. Like there's not going to be like any sort of like exceptions made for a little while.
As there shouldn't.
Like
I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but like the platform should never have approved that code. Period.
True. Okay. Sorry. Yes. Back to People Can Fly. Back to this. Brittany, what do you think?
So I'm glad that they're doing this. I think they should realistically have a longer beta or early access period, because I think that with a game that requires online play and involves co-op, especially with the very complicated difficulty system with the world tiers that they have built in, I think that they would benefit a lot from an extended either closed alpha, closed beta, open beta, or all three. And instead they have a demo, which is different.
Correct.
So I don't know why they aren't just going to do a beta. Maybe they will. Maybe in March they'll be like, hey, actually, we decided based off watching you guys play the demo that we're going to do a beta. I don't know, but
yeah.
Why not?
Thank you, Brittany.
Yeah, anytime.
Wait, what?
Because originally I said, Brittany, what do you think? And then you started going.
My bad, Britt.
No, it's okay, girl. You just,
it's just funny. I imagine people who listen to the show, though, and like those folks who do confuse our voices being even more confused in that moment of like,
we all sound the same, Steimer, don't you know?
Women do all sound the same. It's true.
Yeah.
My apologies. Brittany, what do you think?
No, dog, like you pretty much said what I was going to say. I think a game like this really would benefit from a demo, probably like you said, an alpha or a beta, because even though like I tried to play this game, I try to play this with you ladies, but I just have trouble when it comes to playing demos through my computer. It just doesn't happen. Something
your
always shits the bed.
computadora was like, no, thank you.
It's like, nah, I'm good. But even though like you guys have said you've had a good time with it, I'm still kind of on the fence. Something about it doesn't twist my panties. And I know in a good way, if you know what I'm saying.
It twists it in a bad way where it rides up your ass.
Yeah, and you have like a perma wedgie, and you're just like, you're trying to pick it and you can't, But Andrea, you're trying to say something that actually
like, I got thrown off by that mental image. It doesn't feel like it's your type of game anyway, because of its like hard shooter sci-fi focus. Despite your love of Halo, I kind of get the vibe that an ongoing like narrative drama that is so story focused, because People Can Fly have really put a lot of emphasis on the fact that they're proud of the narrative building that they have done in this game, that we've not seen a ton of it in the demos that we've played so far.
Yeah.
That it just wouldn't be a game that you would pick off the shelf first.
Also, I don't know how many like face tanky roles they really have, because the one I remember when whatever role it was I played, I already forgot. Like I had to heal in a very specific way. I'd like run up to people.
You were the trickster?
You think so? Like shotgun them and then like fucking get the hell out of there. So it was a lot of push and pull, which was very interesting and fun to play. I liked that it gave me a little bit more to like mentally chew on versus just like I sit behind cover and pick people off.
Oh yeah. This is not a cover focused game. Even though cover plays a role, they've said in their like dev diaries that you can watch their Outrider broadcasts that it's not a cover focus, but it's not Doom.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, see, the thing though is if it has this awesome narrative, like I will play or dabble in almost any genre if it has a super gripping story. So like that's why I'm excited about it, is because they've been talking about it, but we haven't seen anything. And also the fact that it's co-op, like I don't play with
you and Jason
but
have a good time with that.
Yeah, I mean, he's really good at covering me when I face tank and suck and bring the whole team down. But we'll see. And I think it's great, too, that your progress will carry over. Like, that's good. This is a good thing. Good job.
That is the nicest bit about this, because the one thing you guys always know me. I'm like, if there's a demo, if there's a whatever, I'm like, no, I don't want to do the same thing. I don't want to do it, because then I'm going to have to do it over again when the game comes out. And I hate it. It's one of my least favorite things. This is the person who also replayed Mass Effect 1 9 times, but
who cares, right?
I don't like doing it. So the fact that they're like, yes, and then that progress will migrate, I'm like, oh, thank you. Like, that's just so nice. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Thanks, People Can Fly. You did it. Let's continue on, shall we? Brittany, what's up with Luigi's Mansion 3's next level games?
Nintendo bought them, Andrea. So
what?
This comes Oh shit!
They made it rain.
Made it rain all those ghosts and goblins and vacuum cleaners and other weird things that are in that game. Yes, so this comes from Polygon. So Nintendo has acquired Next Level Games, the makers of Luigi's Mansion 3 on Nintendo Switch, the company announced on Tuesday. Vancouver-based Next Level has delivered 7 titles published by Nintendo, going back to Super Mario Strikers for the GameCube in 2005. The company expects that a closer relationship with the studio will deliver, quotes, an anticipated improvement in development speed and quality. Nintendo says the deal will close on March 1st. Next Level's Luigi's Mansion 3, which launched on October 31st, 2019, was a critical and commercial success, selling 7.8 million copies worldwide as of November. Next Level also won awards for Luigi's Mansion 3 at the Game Awards in 2019, DICE Awards, and BAFTA's Games Award in 2020. So this is exciting because Nintendo, I feel like, never acquires developers. You just never hear about it happening. I can think of Retro Studios and Monolith off the top of my head. And I even think that latest deal was in 2007, the last time they acquired someone, unless I'm brain farting.
No, I fully did not realize that the studio behind that game was not already part of the Nintendo family. So this was news to me in the sense that I didn't realize that Next Level wasn't already underneath that umbrella. It absolutely makes sense that Nintendo would buy them. Spend some of that dragon pile you've got, Nintendo.
What's funny is my brain was really confused for a minute when I first read the headline, and I thought they were buying Luigi's Mansion 3 levels of Mario Maker.
Oh, what?
Because I saw the words maker and level and like my brain just like mashed them together in a weird way. And then you read the story and I was like, that makes infinitely more sense.
Oh, good. I'm glad I was able to clear that up for you.
Thank you, Brittany, for your service.
I got you. Oh, this
Untangling
is good.
the webs up here.
I'm trying to help you out. But yeah, like I said, Nintendo never acquires studios, I feel like. So it's like, hey, they have a long courting process. They have very big, thick walls that, you have to take down by lots of dates and millions of games sold, apparently. But once you do that for them, welcome to the Nintendo family.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yup.
Yeah.
All right.
I want to read the next one.
It's all you, girl.
Okay,
Yep.
so do you guys remember that movie? I think it's with Matt Damon called We Bought a Zoo.
Yes.
No.
So it's sort of like that, everybody, but Fortnite Dev Epic Games has bought a mall. They bought an abandoned mall to turn into its next HQ. So Epic Games bought, this is via IGN. Epic Games has bought an entire mall with plans to turn the unused location into its new headquarters in Cary, North Carolina. In a press release, they announced that they've purchased a 980,000 square foot. That's almost a million. And an 87-acre. It's the Cary Town Center Mall, which will become the new campus by 2024. This plan includes they're creating both office buildings and recreational spaces for long-term use. Development on the new HQ will begin later this year, and in the meantime, Epic Games will remain at its current Crossroad Boulevard location in Cary, and the city Epic Games has been based in for over 20 years. They also maintain over 50 offices worldwide. I think it's interesting that they're buying a campus this big. Granted, it is still in North Carolina. Real estate is much cheaper, obviously, there.
Especially malls. They're having a rough go these last couple of years.
Yeah. That's so big,
very
though.
true.
980,000 square feet.
The thing that I find interesting about it is because I think, especially with COVID, a lot of bigger companies are debating the value of something like a campus space. Is it really worth the cost of trying to first of all, for talent, do they want to move here to Cary, North Carolina? I went to school in North Carolina, actually not that far from there. And I really liked North Carolina. Thought it was beautiful. I don't think I would go back and move there though. I enjoyed the time that I had there.
Sticky summers, man. Super humid.
Yeah. But yeah, so I just think it's interesting that they're no, we still see the value in having a major campus. Again, 980,000
But you
square
have
feet.
so much money though.
And yeah,
matter.
it's true. But still, I wonder what that means, what sort of plans they really want to invest in, what sort of people they really want to invest in, what the space will look like. Because I imagine you have that much space, you're probably thinking about expanding your team and into what areas is kind of what I'm curious about.
Some of the things to consider are what they're doing with Unreal Engine. I think it would be really great if they maybe made like Unreal Engine University, where devs could come and study with the team that makes the engine and maybe take classes, or maybe they could offer something to students who live in that region of the country. I think that would be a really cool thing that I hope they explore.
Part with UNC Chapel Hill.
Yeah. Or they could also be really expanding their Epic Game Store business, right? So it's been doing well for them. They obviously want to expand that and add more features and keep rolling out support for that. And that would be a great way to expand their team, is to add more partner managers to provide developers access to more people at the platform. Because I have heard from developer friends of mine that that's one of their biggest struggles, is connecting with partner managers at the individual platforms. Particularly the console platforms are the most difficult to work with, but it's because there's just so many developers and there's usually not enough partner managers to go around, you know, whether it be Steam or Nintendo or PlayStation, whoever you're working with, right? And so maybe Epic is seeing that and hearing this from the development community and saying, we don't want to fall into some of those same mistakes with Epic Game Store. We want to provide more staff. How do we do that? We got to have more.
We buy them all.
We buy them all, mostly just so we can have a food court.
That's actually like, how cool is that idea? Like you go to work and then you go to the food court. It's kind of like being, honestly feels a little college, which is not necessarily a knock because college is awesome. But yeah, you just like, I get to go to the cafeteria and like, pick out which station I want to eat at today. Got a little pasta bar, get a little salad bar. It'd be great.
It feels very Silicon Valley, but obviously in North Carolina. Yeah. Because a lot of the campuses that I visited when I was living in the Bay Area, including places like Yahoo and Facebook, have a lot of very similar styles. They have these giant sprawling campuses, and they have a lot of different things on site for employees to take advantage of. You know, fitness centers, healthcare centers, even like beauty services. I think Facebook has like a hair salon on their campus.
Oh my God.
It's all designed to keep you there.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that you never leave work.
You just work because you're like,
you just work 14 hours a day.
Wow.
Because you're like, I have the gym here. I have my hairdresser here. I have my masseuse here. I have my whatever here.
Yeah. That's just crazy. I mean, that'd be great. It could be a security issue, but maybe they'll convert part of it to like Fortnite land, where you bring all your little kiddos. And I would say have a ball.
They could have a daycare center. So EA has a daycare center on their campus at EA Redwood Shores, but it's like impossible to get into because it's small, because they, you know, their campus is only so big. And you basically like have to not even be pregnant and put your unborn child on it, on the waiting list.
I may get pregnant in the next 2 to 3 years. Yes. Put my name on the list.
I'm putting it on here.
Well, maybe they should expand their childcare options. Yeah, you got money. You can do it.
It's more about the actual space on the campus, because like they would just basically need to move campuses. They would need to find like a new. They would need to find an abandoned mall. Go ahead and purchase that.
The Bay Area has
that's what we're gonna do. Let's go to North Carolina, buy an abandoned mall. It'll be our new HQ. It'll be fantastic.
I'm down. Well, we definitely have to have.
We'll have like little we'll ride bikes between the areas. Like you'll have your own section of the mall. She'll have her own section of the mall.
I want a scooter.
Like, we'll just like scoot around in between the different ones. It'll be great.
I like it.
It's so fun.
Oh man. All right. That is going to do it for our major headlines for the week. As we had mentioned, it's still pretty quiet here in the month of January as everybody's getting kind of back into the groove of things after the big holiday break. We do have a couple bullet points for in case you missed it. Battleborn, that game. Remember Battleborn, everybody, from Gearbox?
Nope.
Those servers will be shut down on January 25th.
Cyber's like, nope.
And nobody else did either, which is why it's being shut down.
I feel like that game had potential. And then
I didn't say it was a bad game. I said nobody remembered it.
Launched at a bad time, man.
They did. They launched right when Overwatch was launching. It was like, ooh.
Yeah, there are some really unfortunate timing events in gaming history. We're just like, well.
Very unlucky. And CD Projekt Red has announced that Cyberpunk 2077 has sold 13 million copies, and multiple reports have said that this is even with the refunds. still sold 13 million copies. So congrats to them. I know that they've been pushing patches left and right, and Steimer's going to talk about one of those patches and hotfixes in the next segment. I'm still looking forward to trying Cyberpunk once the official PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X versions are out, but until then, I'm going to play other things. Speaking of what we've been playing, it's time to take our first break of the show, and when we come back, we will do just that. Stick with us, everybody. We'll see you in a minute. Back, everybody. It is the second segment of the What's Good Games podcast.
Ooh, I like that.
I don't know why I did that.
It's just like, it's a club. I don't know. Let's go.
I miss parties, you guys.
What are parties?
What's a party?
I don't know anymore. I don't remember what it feels like to be at a party. Just have no recollection. Isn't it wild that it's been almost a year? Oh, I don't want to think about it. Let's think about video games, the escape that we all love so much, and the reason why you're here listening to the What's Good Games podcast. So, both of you ladies have been playing more Cyberpunk, and I alluded in the last segment that one of you, Steimer, has been having some trouble with some of the patches. Do you care to extrapolate?
Sure. Yeah, so I've been playing again on the PS5, but the PS4 version because the patch is not out yet. So before, I tweeted about this too, like before Christmas, I was playing it and it was crashing fairly regularly, but it was like every 2 to 3 hours, which I actually didn't mind because to me, I was like, oh, okay, that reminds me to like get up and go to the bathroom or get up and make myself some food or get up or like whatever. Like it just kind of jolted me out of the game in a way that was not necessarily unwelcome and allowed me to function as a human being. But then, and got like, bless their little hearts, you know, they tried. So they issued a hot fix right before Christmas. Thankfully, I was already done with the game. And it was just pushed out on consoles. And I read their Twitter like patch notes, hotfix notes, and it said one of the things it intended to fix was crashing on consoles. It did not work for me. And in fact, it made it exponentially worse. And then I could only play about every 30 minutes before it would crash.
That's so bad.
Yeah. And so that's what I was like, because what I had intended to, so I had finished finished the game. Basically what the game does is like dumps you back at before the whatever point of no return. So I was like, oh, I'll just go back and run around and like clean up some of the other stuff I didn't do or see if like anything new pops up that I'm interested in. And then it started crashing every 30. And I was like, okay, every 2 to 3 hours I could deal with. I cannot deal with this every 30 minutes. It's not okay.
That's so bad.
I was like, well, I'm done with it already. So I guess I'll just be done with it.
Yeah.
I don't blame you. So we kind of talked about this over text message a little bit, Steimer, but I also finished Cyberpunk. I clocked in around 75 hours. I think you said like
I was
55.
like 50. Yeah, I'm like 50, 55. Yeah.
And it sucks because I had a crash. I had maybe like 5 crashes during my entire playthrough. And it just sucks because I know not everyone got to experience the game in the way I did, where I didn't have like any game-breaking bugs. I didn't have terrible crashes. And so it was quite pleasurable to go through that game and play it from start to finish. And I had a pretty good time with it. But man, if it was crashing every 30 minutes, there's no way. That's why I stopped playing Kingdom Come Deliverance way back in the day, is because it was crashing every 30 minutes. And I was like, nope, I can't do it.
It was
really unbearable.
Not great. But even still, like, I mean, I don't want to like get too far into it because I feel like I said a lot of what I need to say about the design and the choices the last podcast. But what I will say is having more time with the game, the parts that I will amend are really more on some of the missions that you do and some of the characters that you meet. I do think that there are some really strong, fun characters in this game. There's a character called Pan Am who I love.
I love her.
Judy, I love. Like there's like a few standout characters where I really liked all of them, and I thought that they had really great personalities. They made the world seem fun. They made the world seem more welcoming in a way, or in the sense that like I wanted to go back to the world to see that character, which was nice because as we were kind of talking about, like you need that in a world that is fairly bleak, like a cyberpunk world is just naturally. So That's, I don't know if you felt that way, Brittany, as you kind of dug into the meat of the game too. But I originally was a little nervous about like, ooh, am I gonna want to be here? Especially like all the characters don't necessarily seem likable. But then I did find those likable characters.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think that also highlights one of the issues in this game is the consistency. And I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago when we talked about it, is that are those bomb standout characters. And shout out to my boy River Ward, who I think.
Oh, I also love River.
Oh yeah, I think his romance got a little short-sighted. Like they didn't give him the love and attention that I think that it deserved. But that's kind of the issue. Is I think you do have Judy and Panam and River, and eventually another character that you get to meet, and I think for the most part, like they're all very great, very well written, but it's just the consistency of the interactions you get to have with them. It's the weird, like, okay, so we're in a committed relationship apparently, but I can't talk to you really anymore. There's nothing for you to say.
You can't even like sleep with them again.
No, like I would watch that scene over and over again if you'd let me, but no.
Like give me the option, or even if you wanted to make it cycle like every couple of days, like day cycles in the game. Yeah. Okay, what if you need to like not have people be total horn dogs, but like I just let me. Yeah. Why can I not even like kiss you? It's weird. I thought that was strange.
Yeah, or add in a few lines of dialogue where they'll randomly call you and have something to say. And I do think there are some moments where you do get those random phone calls or text messages from important characters. And you're like, oh, that's really cool, because it does feel much more immersive that way. But the other thing that I learned about this game is there is some interesting and I think some fascinating story points that was just glossed over way too quickly, that I found myself just like utterly confused by at the end. I'm like, okay, who was that person? What was the point of that? And it feels really rushed. And I think that's where, again, a lot of more polish could have taken place. But obviously, like if I'm going to spend 75 hours with a game, I enjoyed my time with it. Like I would have put it down a long time ago if I didn't. It's just not that standout masterpiece like we were talking about a couple weeks ago that I think we all thought it was going to be. But the potential, I think, was there. Mm-hmm. It's just a shame that there was not enough time to really capitalize on it. And for the love of God, give this game a codex, please. Like, please. I don't know. They're dropping so many crazy terms on you. And you're like, okay, I can try to remember who this person is and what that person did and what this program is. And then you can't. And then it's like, blah, 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 blah. And you're like, I don't know what you just said.
That's bonkers if they don't have that.
I couldn't find one. I unless I missed it. But that menu is so like kind of
the menu is a little convoluted.
If you couldn't find it within 75 hours of play, that is a game. That is a game design fail.
It's crazy because I never fucked around with crafting in the game.
Oh, I did all the time.
See, I didn't. But I didn't even touch it.
I was frustrated because so I would break down things whenever I could. I would try to craft when I could. I would try to upgrade where I could to get those points. But even still, so the end of the game, again, I played like 50 hours of it. I was nowhere near the level I needed to be in order to do anything with legendary. So basically, my crafting skills were worthless because I couldn't craft any gear that was better than what I had. So to me, I was like, I feel like they kind of messed up a little on the curve of this. It just feels like which I could definitely do. I could definitely go on the internet right now and find a crafting quote unquote hack to level that skill up to be whatever I needed it to be. Although legendary stuff is like 18 on crafting, and I don't even think I had that many points into crafting yet at that point, or into I forget which attribute point that is connected with. But you have to have that many attribute points in there for even to get your skill. Yeah. Sorry, that's not even the skill. It's like, God, because there's different terms attribute for each thing. There's like attribute points and then actual skills, which is like you running to do it, and then there's skill tree. Or, there's different names for those two things. I forget which one's which, but
there's just a lot of
perks.
game here.
Perks. Got it. Okay. That perk point doesn't unlock until you are around level 18. And to me, I'm like, so that's like really far for me. And I've done a lot in the game. Not everything, obviously, but I did a decent chunk. And I finished your game, and I'm like nowhere near being able to craft any of this stuff. It just made me sad, because I wanted to craft. I think this is really one of my bigger issues with it is the lack of like transmog and not being able to look cool.
Oh, my V always looked so dumb.
Which is so weird because so much of cyberpunk culture is about style.
Yeah,
and the game is so stylized in so many ways that them locking you to these really shitty outfit combinations because of the way the gear stats work is such a head scratcher for a company who's known for their RPGs.
Yeah, it was also, I mean, I wonder if they knocked it out of the MVP, meaning minimal viable product, not most valuable player, because of the fact that it's first person and you really don't see your character that much, but it still bothered me on like a fundamental level, especially anytime I would hit that menu and I would see what sort of trash outfit I had on. And I was just like,
or those random scenes where you'd see part of your body and you're like, oh, I forgot I'm wearing rubber pants and like pink shoes.
One time I realized I was naked and I didn't know.
Yes, same. I was running around naked and I didn't realize.
The worst part, it was a side mission where I got up on like a wagon and like talked to addressed a crowd of people, and then I realized, I looked down later, I had no pants on, and I was just like, oh, oops. Like,
wait, did any of the NPCs acknowledge that you were naked?
They have zero. They don't care if you walk. If you could walk around naked in Cyberpunk and no one says anything. But I was just like,
just genitals swinging in the wind.
That's embarrassing. Just vag out for the world.
Vag out for the world. Yeah, I mean, I will say too, last time we talked about it, I said I would just go in and blast people's faces off, and that was like my go-to way of playing. But as I played and I dinked around more with the breach protocol stuff and the
quick
hacks, I found that I actually really enjoyed that, and that actually became the primary way that I played. So
too bad you can't switch your attribute points up. Am I right?
Yeah, you're right, girl. You're right. I don't think you can. I never did. And the other thing is, how do people afford a $225,000 car in this game?
First of all,
I'm not spend any money, I guess.
But you need to spend money on your like Ripper docs and shit, and then you're poor. Whatever.
You don't need to either, like, because
you don't.
I had everything the game gave me. I had enough cars. Like, I'm not a car person though, so maybe if you're like, I really love the cars, but to me the cars fishtail way too much for them to be fun to drive at all.
The bikes are way better.
The bikes are way better. But I found like a supercar in the desert, by the way. So pro tip, if you are like, I really want a car and I can't afford one, there's a free one. There's a free one in the desert in a cave. So like, go get yourself a free flashy car.
There's a walkthrough video on YouTube that will show you
absolutely
exactly where it is.
Yeah. It's not hard to find. But in general, it's one of the, I think Brittany summed it up well with like, the game was obviously good and I felt a draw to it when I wasn't playing it. I was like, oh, I'm gonna go play a little Cyberpunk now. Like whatever, once I kind of got into it, definitely had the draw, the lull. But then kind of when I was done with it, I was done with it and I was okay leaving it. So it's a good game, but it's not, I don't think it's Witcher 3 level. I think if I had to compare this to something, this feels like to me a moment of growth for CDPR in the sense that like Witcher 1 and Witcher 2 were for them. Like they kind of needed to start over. This was their first IP they really took that was their own, and they're trying to make it their own. So there's always going to be a little bit of stumbling blocks, I think, because people don't really realize, I think, how much they really leaned on, Witcher already having a narrative, already having the world being built. And while Cyberpunk, yes, does have rules and things that are already built for them because it was a tabletop game, it also gives you that freedom to really explore it and do what you want with it. And I think that studio is just learning and growing and trying to figure out how to make their own, imprint on a land like that where they can. So that's how I kind of view it.
Word.
It's like a baby step for them. Not a baby step, but moment of growth. We'll go with that.
Yeah.
I like that. Yep.
Moment of growth. Well, I have been playing a lot more of Assassin's Creed Valhalla, fallen into a very deep hole. Not yet. I think that in order for me to finish the game, I'd really have to like focus on mainlining. I'm high enough level that I could probably get through all of the main story missions, no problem. But I've just been really enjoying so much of the side content that I haven't felt the pressure for the first time in a long time to finish the game, which I think is really great. And so often when we work in games media, we are kind of forced into rushing through games. And I didn't want to do that with Valhalla because I kind of abandoned Odyssey because I got overwhelmed, and I haven't really gotten that feeling yet, which is great. So I don't want to go too much into talking about Assassin's Creed because I spoke a lot about that last year, but I've been really enjoying it and having a lot of fun with it and looking forward to completing the story because they've got me hooked. what they've done with the narrative. But I did get to play something new. So the team at IO reached out to me and said, hey, we have this game coming out. You may have heard of it. It's called Hitman 3. And
I have heard of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we would like you to check out this preview code that we have. And I said, that sounds cool. Let's do it. So
I muffin you.
Exactly.
Hold on. We'll get to that story in a minute.
So funny. So the code that they sent me was for the Epic Games Store, but this is coming to all platforms, including Nintendo Switch. It's coming to Nintendo Switch through Nintendo's cloud streaming technology, which is really interesting. But so I was playing on PC, which so already I was at a disadvantage. I am terrible with mouse and keyboard, and even more terrible in a game like Hitman, where you have all of these special commands with all of the different buttons, like pulling up your inventory, using your camera, holstering your thing, trying not to accidentally subdue or knock somebody out, or wave your gun around. So for people who aren't familiar with Hitman, the franchise has been around for a really long time. IO was previously publishing the game with Square Enix, I believe. No, Warner Brothers.
Who's doing it now?
I think they're publishing this on their own, actually.
Oh, okay. I remember them being part of Square, or not part of it, but like I thought it was Square.
I thought it might have been Warner Brothers. I have to double check. But they kind of rebooted the Hitman franchise and made it this episodic thing underneath the world of assassination. So Hitman and Hitman 2 were really well received. A lot of people really liked the kind of reboot and the things that they changed about the franchise and made it really almost like a choose your own adventure assassination
choose your own
game.
murder.
Yes, choose your own murder. And the game looked great. And so I was really excited to try Hitman 3 because it had been a long time since I played Hitman 2. Some of the things that I want to mention about what they're doing with the game this time around, if you guys did never play the first two parts of the trilogy, good news. You can play them inside Hitman 3. I think that this is an amazing thing that IO is doing. So right inside the menu, if you want to start at the beginning and not just jump into Hitman 3, you can play through all three games in Hitman 3. It's no extra cost. They've just included it. And all of the content for Hitman 3 is going to be in the final release. So it's not going to be episodic like the previous games were. And I think that's a very smart decision to just put it all in the game at launch. But they are doing some different things this time around. If you did play the previous Hitmans, you could import your Hitman 2 profile information, which is kind of neat. So it unlocks specific gadgets for you and certain story items. So if you ended up finishing that game, you might want to consider importing your save, which I thought was great. And then it's also going to add this thing that's called shortcuts. There's a very specific name. I'm looking in the notes here. There's like a fancier name for them than just shortcuts, permanent shortcuts. So essentially,
so much fancier than just regular shortcuts.
It's essentially there to encourage exploration in the game. So if you choose one path to do an assassination, you can unlock a shortcut. So if you decide to go back and play the game again, you can kind of fast track your way through certain parts of the level so that you can experience other parts of it without having to redo everything all over again, which I think is super smart of them to do. So certain doors, access points, ladders, etc., can be unlocked in your first playthrough that you can then use in subsequent playthroughs, which I think is cool. So they've also added this new camera mode, which works not only as a tool inside the game for Agent 47, the Hitman that you play as, but also works as kind of like a makeshift photo mode, because obviously photo mode is super popular, but it's not.
Don't you want to take some shiny pictures?
Yeah, it's not the robust photo mode that we've been getting in a lot of other games. I want to be clear about that, but it does allow you to take some photos in scenarios, but it works more as like a gadget in the game than anything else. They've also added a new progression system that allows players a clear path to their next unlock, which I think is super important, because sometimes when I played Hitman previously, I kind of felt like other than obviously taking out your mark, that it didn't really feel like a compulsion to keep playing through specific levels, because it's not like you have an RPG progression with Agent 47, right? It's not like he's got like the branching skill tree. He's got all of his tools. And
it's
basically
just
the gadgets that you use per level, right?
Yeah.
The world of the game was really more of the star than any kind of progression. So they've added that. I think that'll be really exciting for longtime fans of the franchise. They've also added a ratings and playstyle section, so you'll be awarded with ratings after you finish the level, which of course is another like carrot for people to go back and want to play it again to get a higher rating. And I really appreciate the way that they very clearly outline in the difficulty selection permission what is unlocked and what is locked behind each difficulty. So I started playing on professional, which is like the normal mode. Got my ass kicked. So I dropped it down to baby mode and played in casual. Still got my ass kicked.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. No. I wasn't sure that I could really tell a difference watching you play. I was like, okay, because the guys are still noticing. Maybe it's just less people will notice you.
Yeah. So I think like the cone of notification around certain people is broader.
Smaller or broader, yeah, depending on which
so like,
level.
Like you can be, I think, it's smaller, right? Like you have to be closer to them.
To be easier, it would be smaller, that you'd have to get closer. Yeah.
And then there's certain gadgets that you can use in certain difficulties that you can't use in others. So they restrict it and make it more difficult, obviously, in the higher difficulty settings. So things like that. But I like how they very clearly like bullet point what the difference is, because some games don't, right? You have no idea really.
There's like it's harder, and you're like, is it harder? Like you just added more HP to the enemies, or like how
am I squishier? Is the hitbox bigger?
Yeah, like what is it? What makes it harder?
Yeah. So I like that they very clearly outline that. So thank you, IO, for adding that detail. And one of the things I think that's really been overlooked from the Hitman franchise previously is the really deep narrative. And, they're really touting this as the end of the trilogy for the world of assassination. So if you guys have seen any of the story trailers that IO Interactive has been putting out, we know that Diana Burnwood, Agent 47's handler, features prominently in the game this time around. He joins forces with his long-lost friend, Lucas Gray. He and Agent 47 have this long history, and they are going to eliminate partners of Providence. You figure out who Providence is if you guys haven't played. They have a nice little catch-up at the beginning of Hitman 3 if it's been a while for you. But again, what I think is nice is if you were like, hey, I haven't played a Hitman game in a long time, or hey, I don't know what I'm going to play at the end of January. Maybe I want to play this. You can start at the first Hitman and play through them all and get up to speed if you want to, which I thought was really smart of them to do. And of course, VR. So that was a big thing that they wanted to push this time around. It's going to support PSVR at launch with full support for all 20 plus locations from the trilogy. They say it will literally change the way you play. Obviously, if you've ever played in VR, you fully understand that. I think a big thing is that going from the third person perspective you get in Hitman to first person is going to be a real big change for people who've played a lot of Hitman.
I don't know that I would like it because personally I like being
able to see what's going on around you. Yes.
Yeah. Like I like having as much view as possible because there's somebody in the corner you don't notice, even though there's a mini map, so like you see that too. But yeah, I just like
I personally think it would be, the game is already really hard even on easy mode. I wouldn't want to put it on like extra hard mode by playing in VR.
No. I don't know if you tried this strategy. I want to hear this muffin story, but real quick.
Okay.
Can you save the game whenever you want? Like if you're about to attempt. Thank God. Okay. Yes. I can play this game now. Yay.
Yes.
That makes me happy. Okay, cool.
So the autosave feature changes depending on which difficulty you have selected, but you can manually save at any time. Yay. At least I haven't found a situation yet where I haven't been able to manually save, and I usually will, and the developers recommend saving a lot, right? They're like, just save constantly. And so I'll save before I'm about to like do
what does this do?
Yeah. Enter a room where there might be people that recognize me, or if I'm about to try like an assassination attempt, I want to save in case I totally muck it up, which of course I probably
we did a little bit. That's okay.
Yeah. Dude, I tried to poison this one guy's drink, and I didn't notice that there was a security guard like
sitting
right
on the couch, like right there.
And I was like, and he was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Oh no,
nothing. Taking a walk. Just leave." We went downstairs. It was fine.
Oh man. And the thing that I kind of walked away with my time playing, and I did mostly just the Dubai section of the demo here. They did have another section, Dartmoor, that was playable. So if you guys are interested in seeing more gameplay and more B-roll, I highly suggest, checking out some other previews, because they did give us quite a bit of time to play the game. Is that this game is just a slow, methodical game. It's not a game that you rush in and you're going to go through the levels.
It's not an instant gratification game.
Right. This is not like a speed run game. I mean, I'm sure there will be people who figure out how to speed run these, but I think the satisfaction you get from playing Hitman is planning what you're going to do, learning from your mistakes, figuring out what you can and can't get away with. And they really just IO really gives you a lot of tools. And one of the things that they added this time around was this thing called mission stories. So in the level, you'll come across pieces of intel, and when you open up those pieces of intel, sometimes it can lead to a mission story. And so what the mission stories are there is to provide you with a guided way to have a path to the assassination you have to complete. So maybe you'll pick up like a pamphlet, or maybe you'll overhear a conversation in a hallway, and then the mission story will pop up, and then it gives you like a kind of like a countdown timer where you can opt in to that mission story, or you can opt out and say, hey, I want to do this hit my way. I don't need no help from you. But what I liked about it is, for someone who like me who hasn't played Hitman in a long time, I was like, yes, I'm opting in. Tell me how to do this. Tell me where to go. Because sometimes these levels can be really overwhelming. This level, one of the levels I played, had multiple floors that you had to go between. And because I had two
there
targets.
Was like 6 floors. It was a lot.
It was just like a lot to manage, and I think that sometimes it can get daunting for people about like, how do I approach this,
especially if you are new to the franchise. Like,
yes,
you're just like, well, I do what?
Yeah. And then you pick up so many things along the way. You're like, where am I going to use this
like a
thing?
muffin?
Yeah, like a muffin.
Okay, what's this muffin story?
Okay, so I was in a level where I was disguised as like a waiter, and I walked into the kitchen. And there was like a catering table full of food. And I was like, oh, maybe I can pick up one of these trays. And it wouldn't let me pick up a tray of food, but there was like a single muffin that I could pick up. And I always kept forgetting how to holster the thing that I was holding in my hand. And so I'm just walking around
with a single muffin,
holding this muffin in my hand. Like, here I am, like trying to play it cool with the barcode on the back of my neck in this waiter's uniform, holding this giant freaking muffin.
Because the muffin's also huge.
It was
like
huge. and then I come up to this guy, and I didn't realize that he had recognized me. And then I was like, oh no. And I panicked because I'm playing on freaking WASD. And I hit the melee button and I knocked him out with the muffin.
It was the best. It was so funny. I loved it. I was like, did you just whack him with the muffin and it worked?
Sure
and yeah,
did.
like he was knocked out.
Knocked him out
my
with the
God.
Muffin KO.
A stale ass muffin.
Yeah.
Yes, or I was like hiding brass knuckles underneath of it. I don't know.
Yeah,
It was
don't know
really,
what's in that muffin.
It was really funny.
Amazing.
But yeah, so I mean, the game looks great.
Oh God, it was so beautiful. Like the lighting on it, the floors are so polished. Like it has a beautiful reflection. You see like the pillar in the floor. It was cool. I was like, wow, they definitely spent some time on this.
Yeah, IO games have always looked really good, and I'm very eager to see how it's going to look on the new consoles, because I will not be playing this on PC, but I was playing it on PC for the demo, so I can't comment on how it's going to look, on any other platforms, but it is coming to, I'm trying to confirm here exactly all of the platforms again, the release details. It's January 20th on PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, Xbox Series X and S, and Xbox One, Google Stadia, and PC. And again, as I mentioned, Nintendo Switch, playable via cloud streaming tech. So basically, if you play games anywhere except your phone, you can play this game.
Hey.
Sweet. Hey.
Yeah. So that was my time with Hitman 3. Murder to come at the end of January.
Murder
so much
via
murder.
muffin.
Yes, exactly. You can murder people with muffins. I found an apple too that I carried around for a little while. I guess I didn't try to hit somebody with that.
You didn't. You didn't hit anybody with the apple. We were wondering. We're like, can we poison the apple? We're like, evil queen
Yes,
this.
I found rat poison. I was like, poison apple. It's perfect.
Oh, that's awesome. I always liked the Hitman games, but I love that you can now save whenever you want. Maybe you could do that before in the past. I don't remember, but
It's just one of those things that you have to remember to do. And like when you're in the moment, and the game is immersive, right? Like IO has built these really amazing levels. That's something that they've really excelled at. And they are excelling here with what I've seen in Hitman 3 is that the level design is fantastic. And because of that, you forget, you know, that you have to like hit the pause menu, hit the save button, go to the save slot, right? You have to do that. I wish that they just had a quick save button, and maybe the final build will, because I know a lot of games have added that in recent years. But the demo that I was playing on PC, I didn't have a quick save button that I found. So maybe if it's not in the build, IO, if you're listening, maybe something to consider.
Maybe do it.
Quick save button would be great.
Yeah.
But Steimer,
yeah,
you have been playing a game that a ton of people raved about last year, something that has been on my to-do list. Britt, you played a little bit of this too, right?
Yeah.
Spiritfarer?
Yeah, I finished it. So after Cyberpunk, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to play. I was like, I don't really know if I want to go back to Yakuza yet. And then I saw that Spiritfarer was on Xbox Game Pass, and I was like, perfect. I heard Brittany talk about it. She seemed to really like it, so I'll give this a go. And I hopped into it, and I was just like, oh, God, yes. Like, because it's just so different from Cyberpunk. It's very, very chill. Obviously, like, very emotional, given the subject matter. But also very, like, the gameplay loop is very different, but also just as addictive. So it's a lot more resource management focused. So stuff like planting crops, making sure you're getting enough of those, turning the crops into threads, into fabric. Like you have like a whole lot of sort of Harvest Moony type of tasks to do, and that's part of why I really liked it. But then also you get to meet these really fun characters and see a little bit about their backstory, and then it was an interesting way that they set it up, because I don't know how you played it, Brittany, but I sort of fucked up a little bit, and I didn't get one character until way late in the game, like super late. Like I'm not gonna say who it is, but first of all, you wouldn't know who it is anyway.
So before you continue, just because this is a new game, would one of you please explain what Spiritfarer is?
Sure. Yeah, I thought Brittany had talked about it before, but I'm happy
we did, but it felt like it was so long ago. Right?
It was probably. Oh yeah, we'll give you a quick refresher. So if you're thinking about like how does it play, it is a 2D animated game, so you don't have to worry about like moving the camera around or anything. It just follows you. You are a girl named Stella, and then you have this like the world's most adorable little fluffy cat that I fucked up and called Dandelion on Twitter, but it's another
Daffodil.
D flower. Daffodil. It's Daffodil, but I was like, Dandelion. And then someone was like, who's Dandelion? And I was like, oh, I think I must have been like mixing up Witcher in this game. I had Witcher on the brain. But it is like visually very beautiful. The art is really fantastic. But really what it is so if you've played Hades, you will be familiar with this character as well. Charon. I don't know if he's technically a god. I don't think he's a god. But the man who is in the boat who takes you to the underworld.
I don't remember what that dude's name is.
It's Charon.
Oh, you just said it.
Yeah.
My bad.
And he basically is like, I'm out. It's up to you now, Stella, to take these souls to the other side. And you're like, okay. And so that's kind of like the premise of what you're doing is you meet these characters along the way, and at certain points you do say goodbye to them and you have to take them to the spirit door, it's called the Ever Door, I believe, but essentially you're taking them over to the other side. And I thought that it was really interesting the way that they use that mechanic, because it really does make you feel something. Like you get to know these characters, you enjoy seeing them on the boat, you enjoy like some of them will play instruments, and then it raises the mood of everybody. Also, it's like dope music, so good job whoever composed that. And then you like at some point, like I said, like they're like, I'm ready to go now, like it's time for me to go.
And it's hard too because these characters have a personal relationship with Stella.
Yeah.
And while they don't like come out right and say what it is right off the bat, you can just
some
tell
of them
because
do.
I think Some of them do, but they're so well written that you can just tell through the context like what that relationship is, and they really do feel so distinct. And even though they're all in this animal form, you see them like as if they're people. And it was emotional, especially when you get you talk to him, you get to know him, then you do have to send him goodbye. And
yeah, but there's also
so
there's
good.
a lot of so yeah, there's resource management, there is platforming, you do go around, you get new methods of traversal so that you can like access other areas. There are world events, quote unquote, that will give you specialized resources that you'll need, that each character has their own event associated with them. And it's just cool also to see the way the characters interact with each other. And I loved Summer. Summer's the snake. I also love the art. I love the art of these characters. So yes, they're all anthropomorphic animals basically, but they're all really well designed and they all reflect their personality too, just based on it. So it's really interesting. And then especially when you get to the end and you've said goodbye to a bunch of people, it's cool to kind of think back like to the first person you said goodbye to, and like how you have also like sort of healed even though all the time, and you've had all these like the way they designed it is just phenomenal. But like I was saying, I messed up a little bit and I got one character a little like too late. And well, not too late, but it just felt late. I was like, oh, I fucked up. I should have gone back. I should have gone to this place like a long time ago, and I just didn't do it. And so then it was weird and very melancholic because I ended up where it was just me and this one character on my boat for a while, for the remainder of the ending of the game. And it was really strange. But I also think that was kind of an interesting and powerful thing too, to just have that alone time, because my boat had gone from being so busy and there were so many people and there was so much to do and there was so much to look at, and then it sort of petered out. And I was like, I don't know, this is a really fucked up metaphor for life, but it's true, I guess. Like,
I think it's also a metaphor for what happens in death too, to the people who are behind, and how you usually get friends and family that will rally around you when you've lost someone in the beginning, and then you're kind of left with your grief alone after that initial shock of the loss happens. And I think that's something that's really spoken to a lot of people about Spiritfarer, is all those multifaceted angles of grief and what happens to you when you experience a loss like that. But they do it in such an artful way. I definitely want to get back to this game. I feel like I haven't spent enough time with it.
Yeah,
it's got a really good loop. And like I said, I think it works because it's not all heavy all the time. And you have those like, oh, okay, like I want to plant some cotton, or like I want to fish. I want to cook a new meal. I want to see like what I can make in the oven. Like there's just little things like that will distract you, which is again kind of like life and grief, right? It's like you can kind of distract yourself with the little mundane things in life.
Yeah, and it is fun to upgrade your buildings, and it's fun to organize your ship.
Yes.
And I think this is right, Steimer. You can't get rid of buildings, right? Once you've built them.
I think certain types you could, but there's like the houses you couldn't.
The houses you couldn't, right? And that kind of speaks to what you're saying, is then it's just you and all these empty houses, and it's like, oh wow, this is real deep.
Yeah,
but
it was like real spook.
To my personal NPC of 2020, which was Daffodil, the adorable little cat.
Yes.
I think that little NPC makes such a big difference. And fun fact that you can play this co-op, and someone can control Daffodil if you want to play it with someone.
That would have been helpful for me, only because I had a couple minor irritations. One of them would be like I was trying to exit a doorway and I would end up in the petting animation of the cat.
Yeah.
Well, that's fine every once in a while. If you just keep getting, you're like, no, I didn't want to pet the cat. I wanted to just like leave the door. I just wanted to leave this building. And then there were some of the like mini tasks or whatever that I thought could have maybe been tweaked to be a little bit less annoying. The wood was especially brutal. When you're like trying to cut planks of wood, I was like, oh, I really don't like this, but whatever, it's fine. And then there's one character that I really did not enjoy that much. But the funnier part is this character gives you like from beyond the grave tasks to do, and I just was like, nah, fuck you. Like I didn't do them. I don't know. Did you do them, Brittany, or?
No, because I was about to say I only played about halfway through, and then it actually got a little too grindy for me, and that could have been because I was trying to do everything, and traveling from point A to point B was kind of tedious after a bit, and trying to like
you
visit
have
all
to
these
use the
little
bus
islands.
stops. If you don't use the bus stops, it's just like it takes way too long.
So I never finished it, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. Well, there is a character that did that, and I was like, nah, dog, because like
Nah, dog.
what she wanted was ridiculous, and I was like, I'm
dead.
Good. You're dead, and I'm gonna finish the game now. So
You'll be happy.
I hope you
It's
enjoy
there
your
for the
list
people
of
that
whatever.
want to do more content.
It
And
really
if
is
you
kind
don't
of,
want
yeah.
to do it, you don't have to do it.
Yeah, I felt like that's kind of what it was. Is like, do you want to do more content? And I was like,
It's like chasing collectibles,
good.
right? It's like,
Good
do I
now.
want to go after this shanty that I really don't need? No.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, good.
Anyways,
I'm glad
really
you both
enjoyed
enjoyed
it.
your time with it.
yeah.
And Britt, you finished Age of Calamity finally.
Yeah, well, finished sort of, kind of, because I rolled credits. But then after you roll credits, there's so much more. The game's like,
Oh.
you thought you were done. Oh, no, there's not. You are
That
not
was a
done.
false ending.
False ending. Well,
They
here's the
tricked
problem.
you.
Is I'm grinding for this gear
Mm-hmm.
because I want it. It's called I have it here, the Hyrule Warriors gear. And it looks like, very typical like Ocarina of Time green tunic Link, and like that's my jam. So I'm like, okay, of course I have to grind for it. This is probably the only game I think I've 100%ed in I don't know how long, or I'm trying to. I'm 99% of the way through. But the last collectible I have to get this gear is in the form of Koroks, and they're hidden throughout all these different levels. And I'm about to pull my hair out because it's so tedious, but I'm so committed now. I'm 55 hours into this thing, and it's like I have to get it. So every night, like I'm going to try to do a new level, because one of the levels is you cannot get hit once by any enemy.
Oh my
And if you
god.
do- yeah. Oh,
Especially in a game like this that's all focused on combat.
And there's just like
it's-
swarms of people coming at you.
Oh yeah, it's not great. So thankfully it is co-op. So Jason like has a better stress tolerance than I do, so he doesn't mind trying it over
So like
and over again.
both of you can't get hit, or
No,
just
yeah, I
one
just-
of you?
Neither one of you can get hit.
Oh no.
Oh yeah. So I just like hang back at the far back of the level, and I just like
No,
chill in my
thanks.
little corner, and I'm like, go husband, go. But no, it's really fun. And like I think the main draw of this is you don't have to do what I'm doing. You don't have to be psycho about it and like try to get everything. But is the story. And again, like the story of this game really does some fun foreshadowing as to what we can expect from the next Breath of the Wild. And I think, this will probably all be covered in the next Breath of the Wild. So if you don't really care enough, you just want to find out when the game comes out, that's cool. But it's some people weren't super happy with the narrative choices that I think Nintendo's going, but I think it's pretty fascinating, and I think it makes sense. So anyway, you can wrap it up in like probably 10 to 20 hours ish if you'd like to, or you can complete it and spend 55 to 60 hours like me. But it's fun. It's just the perfect mindless grind, right?
Yeah.
Honestly, right now. Yeah. But I'm going to get that damn gear. I'm going to get it.
I wish you the best of luck, Brittany.
Thanks.
May the odds be ever in your favor.
Thanks.
And that's going to do it for our hands-on segment. And that's going to be the end of the show this week. We are excited to be back. And we will be back next week because we're not breaking our streak now. The pandemic can't stop us. I wish I had something more rallying to say, but that's all I got.
Considering the week it's been, I think that was perfect.
Yeah.
Honestly. Yeah.
Thanks.
much, yeah.
Thanks. I appreciate that. Once again, if you guys want to find out everything that's happening with us, what's good _games on Twitter. You can find us on our Facebook fan page. I just finished overhauling the Discord, discord.gg/whatsgoodgames.
Nice.
So if you want to check that out, lots of cool folks over there. Don't forget, you can support everything we do at patreon.com/whatsgoodgames. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, everybody, or your week whenever you're listening to this podcast, and we'll see you next time. Bye!